Hi friends! In the last video, we set up our environment. Today, we're going to set up a project. In this video, we are going to talk about some frameworks, some packages you might want to know, and most importantly, introduce you to a couple documentations, get you familiar with those, and I'll show you how I work with those too. Before we start a project, just like when you're designing a mobile frame in Figma, you wouldn't use a desktop frame in your design, right? Same goes for your project. If you want to do a website, you won't use a framework that's for a mobile app. There's a bunch of other major frameworks out there, but I'll only introduce you to two. One for web, one for mobile. They are the dominant framework for individual or startup project nowadays, and AI are fluent in them. So in the next part of this video, you will hear React a lot. What is React? React is originally made by Facebook or Meta. It is the thing that helps you build your product in components and states. It's widely used and AI has trained extensively on it, so the code it produces is very reliable. Alright, so for websites or web app, you will want to use Next.js. It's built on top of React. AI knows it well, and it's very easy to deploy on Vercel. For mobile app, you will want to use Expo. It's built on top of React Native, which is the mobile version of React. Expo helps you do a lot of stuff too, and you just need to know that it lets you test your app on your real device without having to install a simulator. And it also helps you with deployment. Now we know Next.js and Expo. Let me show you how we use them to start our project. Let's come here to Next.js website, get started. Now you see we're in documentation tab here. Let's do installation here. See quick start. First create a new Next.js project. Name my app. Second, see my app and start a dev server. 3, visit localhost 3000. First of all, you see pnpm, npm, yarn, bun. What are those? These are package manager. Installing packages are like ordering from delivery service. You tell them what kind of package you want and they'll ship it to your house, right? So essentially, these are different carriers. You tell different carriers the same thing you want, and they'll eventually ship the same thing into your project, but the experience is a little bit different. For PnPn, Yarn, it might be a little bit faster. For Bun, it's a different story. But let's start with the basic. Let's use npm. npm actually stands for Node Package Manager. Remember the Node.js we downloaded last video? That's the same node here. Alright, so what's telling you it's you go to your terminal, you type in the first command, which is the first step, create a new Next.js app. So the first part of the command here, that's the create Next.js app part. The add latest here means use the latest version of Next.js, which is 16.2.6. My app here is the project or your app's name. So you can do everything you want. You don't have to do my app here. Yes, what does that mean? Remember, always read the documentation. Yes here means skips prompts using state preference or defaults. The default setup enables TypeScript, Tailwind CS, blah, 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 blah. And also includes a Claude MD, which we will talk about in the next video. Let me quickly talk about TypeScript and Tailwind CSS because you might have heard of them and wonder what they are. TypeScript is like a safety net for your code. It catches your mistake or AI's mistake, and AI is well trained on it, so I recommend you using it. For Tailwind, it's like a properties you set in Figma. You set it up once and you just apply it later. AI is good with Tailwind, so I do recommend you using it too. So back to the documentation, if you do the yes, it will include TypeScript and Tailwind for you. So let's start the project by opening up our terminal. So you open up your terminal, you see your device name. What does that mean? It just means you're in this folder. You open up your Finder, you see you're in this folder. Within this folder, you have application folders, download folder, everything, blah, blah, blah. And for example, I want to save my project to my desktop folder, which is within my, Ralph folder. So what I do? The command you use in terminal to change directory is cd, change directory. For example, you will use cd plus the file path. For example, if you want to move to file 1, that's within folder 1, that's on desktop, you will do cd desktop /folder 1/file 1. If you want to move out, for example, you're in folder 1, you want to move out back to desktop, you do cd dot dot. So let's try this. Let's do cd desktop and enter. Now we are in desktop. And we can do cd dot dot enter. Now we're back to the route folder. All right, now I'm in desktop. I want to save the project into this directory, into my desktop directory. Let's do npx create next app at latest. I want to name my project my first website. You can do anything, but just remember, don't use blank space between the name. Don't do my first website. Don't do that. At least use like an underscore or just a dash for your project. And enter. All right, now you see success, and like this thing pops back up. Now you go to your desktop and see here, there's a my first website folder here. That's the one you just ran the script to create. All right, and now let's open our VS Code. Open folder, desktop, my first website, open. And now you have created your first web project. Let's go back to, let's close this. Let's go back to the next step. So now cd into your app and start the dev server. Cd into your app. Let's come back to your VS Code here. Let's use this button to toggle on the bottom panel to see the terminal here. And you see, you're already in my first website directory. So that means that you don't have to cd again into your directory because you're in it. If you cd again, for example, let me try my first website. You'll get no such file directory because inside your folder, there's no such files or folders named my first website. So you're good. Let's just do the third step, which is npm run dev. npm run dev is the same thing in Figma when you press the play button for your prototype. It just means start the entire thing for me. So let's copy the command, come back here, paste and enter. All right, let's look at the documentation again. It says visit localhost 3000. And now you see there's a bunch of output here. You see localhost 3000, and you see this thing hasn't popped back up again. Why? Because it's still running. All right, and I'll teach you how to stop it. But let's first go to this link. And you see I'm clicking it, but it's not taking me to the new web, but it's not opening up a new website. You see here follow link, command plus click. So I have to press command and click on it, and now it opens up the website for me. And this is the project you just created. These are what we call the boilerplate. And how do we remove it? It's very easy. Just tell the AI to remove the boilerplate for me. So let's come back here. Tell the AI, hey, remove the boilerplate for this project. Enter. All right, the AI removed the boilerplate for me, but added my first website here. I don't know why it did that. Let's do a refresh. Okay, it's still there, so I guess it just added there. Add that there. If you know how to read HTML, JavaScript a little bit, you can come to app, pages, and see here. Yeah, I added my first website here. You can edit it to anything you want. Hello world, and you see now there's like a black dot here next to your file. It means like the file is not saved yet. So what happens when you don't save your file? First, you're gonna lose the file if you just close it. Second, your change will not be applied. My server is still running. Let's do the refresh. See, it's still my first website. It's not hello world. So what you have to do is press command plus S, save. in the VS Code editor here. And you see now, at the same time, the black dot disappear and the changes apply. All right, last thing here, the server here is still running. How do I stop it? Very easy. Just do Control C. And now you see this thing's backed up. And like that, if we refresh the pages again, cannot be reached because the server is not up. All right, let's talk about Expo. Let's do it as if like it's my first time on the website. I don't know what Expo is. I only know that this is a good tool and I might want to use it. So, I'll probably do the CTA, start it for free. It starts here. Start a project, maybe. And it gives you the entire script. Go to your terminal, create Expo, your app's name, cd into your app, and you have to download your Expo Go app so you can test your product on your real device. Then run the project by running npx expo start. These documentations are very friendly, and like it even gives you a different page rather than just like tell you to go to the stock page where that's usually where everything is. So yeah, if I were you, I would follow this. And if you want to come to the doc, so you can see it's like different command, but always read documentation. So the this template flag is actually for a newer version, which is not compatible for the Expo Go on the physical device. So if you want to test it on your real device using Expo, you do not put this part. And you come here and set up your device. You want to do a iOS app and you want to do an Expo. Everything here, it'll tell you how to do it. Start developing. We see the same command here, npx expo start. And remember before we used AI to remove the boilerplate for the Next.js project? Here, in the next step here, it tells you you can run npm run reset project. And here it actually tells you that you can use this command to remove the boilerplate for you. Let's talk about packages. Packages are like Figma community plugins. Someone made it for the community, so you can use it too. I'll introduce you to some packages. I highly recommend you to check it out, so you don't have to burn your token trying to build something that's already out there. For visualization, you have D3. There's a bunch of examples here. Go explore. For animation interaction, there's motion. Before it's called framework motion, now just motion. And we're using React. Remember, Next.js is built on top of React, even though React is basically on top of JavaScript. Let's do React and let's see some examples. You can see there's a bunch of examples. You can play with, see if you like certain animation or interaction. And also you have GSAP. As you scroll down, you can see there's so many different types of animation and interaction you can incorporate into your website. If you want to do some 3D stuff, you can come to 3.js here. There's a bunch of examples of documentations. People film video for those. Yeah, have fun with it. Lastly, you have Lucid React icon set. I think currently AI just default to use Lucid for all your icon. So you can always use other icon. You can go to Iconify, blah, blah, blah. But now like a lot of icons are actually from this set. I also want to talk about Shadcn. Think of Shadcn as IKEA, and the normal component library are like the traditional furniture store. So for the traditional furniture store, you buy a furniture, took it home with you, didn't like the color anymore, sorry, you can't change it. But for IKEA, you can customize the color, you can customize the texture and the material, and you bring it back home. If you don't like the color anymore, you can order parts and like DIY, modify it to make it look the way you want it. So that's the same idea with Shadcn. You get the source code of the components and you can modify it however you want, so you don't run into problems like you download a component from this package and you're like, oh, I cannot change the shadow of this button because the package didn't expose the property for me to change that. Let's go to the documentation to see how we can do this. Yeah, installation, because we want to install Shadcn into our project. And first, use this thing. And you see a bunch of components. You can use the navigate here to filter for certain components you're looking for. These can all be changed later. You don't have to worry that the color you want is not on the list here. So let's say this is the theme I want. Let's come back here and see what do we do. Use the CLI to scaffold a new project. Okay, think about this. We already just created a Next.js project. We don't want to create a new project, right? We want to do the existing project. So let's come down here, right? Choose your framework. Yes, we do. Yes, we created Next.js one. Let's click on it. Okay, yes, we just did create project. Click create project. Choose your package manager and copy the generic command. I think it means here the get code. Yes, new project, right? And this is the code. Yes, let me copy this code and run in our VS Code. Here's my existing project. See the hello world. Let me run this code. All right, it's finished running. Let's come back here. Add components, add the card components to your project. So what we did, we just initialized the themes, the color, that kind of stuff. It didn't actually input all the components we wanted into our project. So now we want to pick and choose the component we want to add into our project and run the commands so the project has it. Let's say I want a card. I want something to look like this. I think it looks nice. Here, come down here, the command, we will use npm, copy, go back to my project, and run this command. All right, great. That's why I really like this design. I want the same design, but just with my theme and font applied. You know, I can copy this entire code, go back to my file, and like tell my AI that, you know, put this card component in the home page. Okay, so AI is asking us if it can run this npx Shadcn at latest at input label this command. It looks familiar, right? Let's look back. npx here latest at car. So when we try to add this car component, it says add car, and now it wants to add an input. Why is it? So we come back to Shadcn. You see in this card here, there is a input field here. If we go to components, input, you see, this is the thing that is in the card component, and here is the installation command. The AI is asking it if it can run this command. So inside card, this input box could be shown. Let's go back to the code. Let's do yes. All right, AI has finished running. Let's check for the new changes. Let's run npm run dev, enter. And I'm pressing command to click this localhost 3000 link so it opens. So now we see our card component with the exact same design, but with different theme, you know, different color, different radius, and that's Shadcn. For prototyping, it's awesome because they have so many pre-made components already. You can move the login button anywhere you want in this card. It won't stop you. I highly recommend checking it out. Lastly, the thing about package is that for me, since I've used a lot of like GSAP and Framer, I know that when I want a certain animation, I'll just go and be like, hey, I want to use this function to create this certain animation or interaction. But for you, the easiest thing is probably to try to build it with AI first, you know? And if your AI cannot really achieve the interaction or animation you want, that's when you want to consider if there's a package that can help you with that. You can ask AI to help you find the right package, but from my own experience, it will give you like 5 packages, and like only one is actually slightly related to your use case. So make sure you search up those packages AI provided to you. So how do we verify those packages? You come here, npm. For example, if AI say D3 can help you with the visualization you're trying to do, so let's come here, let's do D3, and here you see the README, you see the documentation, And you can actually verify, like if they can help you with your visualization you have in mind. And also you can check out the weekly downloads. With a widely used package like D3, AI is usually good at it because it has a lot of training data. But if you're downloading a package that's not as popular or like newer, you can always ask AI to read through the documentation examples or read through the code even before it starts like, hallucinating. And to install the package, just run this npm i d3, copy it, and then you go to your terminal, make sure you're in the right directory, which is in your project, and run this command. All right, quick recap. In this video, we talked about how to start a project, what are frameworks and packages, but most importantly, what I want to teach you is how to read the documentation. In this video, we walk through a lot of documentation, and I show you how I approach the documentation, right? Where do I look? What do I read? And I hope as you're doing your project, you definitely will use stuff that I didn't talk about today, but now you know how to approach and learn them, which is by reading the documentation. In the next video, I will talk about the mental model and process I found useful when collaborating with AI. Pick a project, whether it's web or mobile, start experimenting with AI, bring questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.